So talking about gore, how did the surgery go?
Surgery was great, actually.
So people tell people that haven't been following your story, what made you get to the point that you needed surgery? How did it all begin?
So, obviously...
And what type of surgery did you get?
Aye, right, so we went from being muscular to being very, very fat and overweight to being below 10% body fat to discovering that I had a gyno issue in my chest. So that needed removed because it ruined my pec line. So we were scheduled to get the gyno surgery to remove the glands from behind my nipples. So basically what gynecomastia is a mammary gland behind everyone's nipples that can, at any point in your life, 1 in 2 men have it naturally, but when you introduce things like PEDs, that can also create the issue. So I don't know whether I had it naturally and then irritated it with PEDs or the PEDs gave it to me. But anyway, it ruined my pec line, so it needed to be removed. And while I was getting that done, even when I was creeping below the 10% body fat line, because of how fat I was previously, I felt some of the stretch marks on my lower abdomen might not tighten up as much as I want when we go on stage. So I thought, I'm going under anyway. Went and seen the surgeon. Can you do anything with this wee bit here? He says, I need bore, we'll just fucking cut it out, nip it together, sound. So I got my gyno removed and then what they called like a modified thing. And that's what I had done. And so far, the recovery from the surgery has been sound. The swelling that came with the surgery was not anything I was overly prepared for. And that's been the challenging part.
What shocked you about the swelling? Like, give me an example.
The swelling. So the biggest shock was they tell you there should be some local swelling that can be quite severe. Now, having your cock turn into a super can of tenants was not what they'd quite described to me. So after the first week, I'm like, well, after the first few days, I'm like, right, my cock and balls are getting bigger here. And then day 2, day 3, day 4, and not just were they getting bigger, they turned black. They changed race on me. Yeah. So I'm sitting here so I couldn't put my testicles in one hand. I needed 2 hands to cut my balls. And then I had this absolute long shalong on top. And that was the discomfort, because obviously walking was difficult. And then I've got this newfound tool that weighed a lot. And that's then pulling on, well, what felt to me like it was pulling on my stomach wound. And then it's obviously stretching my groin. So the discomfort that's the bad part. And it wasn't so much painful, it was just awkward and hard to move and hard to get comfy. You're sitting on the sofa and you'd be like, oh wait, my nuts. And you need to lift your nuts and cock out of the way so you can sit down. And then, like, honestly, like I needed, like, I wouldn't quite say bowling ball, but you know, a fair size fucking melon. Do you know what I mean?
So for the listeners, Mikey's not a small man. He's not got small hands, and he's put his 2 hands together and clasped them as if he was holding a bowl. Literally
like a fucking, kind of like a yellow melon, what they call it?
A melon.
A yellow melon, aye. So my balls are like a yellow melon.
I don't think they call it a yellow melon, but I mean, I think yellow melon.
A canary melon, did you know what I'm on about?
I know what you mean.
And then obviously my penises went to a thickness where I couldn't touch my finger and thumb together. It was like holding a can of juice, but longer.
To most guys, that sounds like a dream scenario.
I never thought I would moan about my knob getting bigger, but it became an issue.
Like, what was it like, other than the swelling, and obviously it's in large size? What else was there an issue with?
That's it.
Just discomfort.
That literally just obviously, my coach is like, we'll start putting steps back in. Like, Niban, I can't walk with this. I've got another human strapped to the front of me here that's in the way of my legs. So obviously fucking walking was out of the question. Trying to get comfy was out of the question. I had to then get some like tight pants to try and take the weight so it wasn't pulling on my stomach, cut and eye. So
how heavy do you think your cock and balls were?
I would have put them at, I wish I'd weighed them, but I would have said easy 4 kilo. Or probably even 5. Like, there was weight there, Ken. Like, fuck, there was weight. It could have been over 5. In my head, if I held a 5 kilo plate now, that would have felt lighter than me having to shift my cock and balls out the way. So I've phoned the hospital being like, when should I start getting concerned about this? They're like, the fact you're asking, we'll get you in for a look. So I'm like, right. So I'm in, I'm like, here. And she's like, that's fine.
Did she say, I've seen bigger?
Yeah. She's like, that's not the worst I've seen. I'm like, holy fuck. She's like, that's normal. That'll go away. And obviously, I'm not even 2 weeks now. And we're nearly back to normal. We're nearly comfortable again.
Very good.
It gets a wee bit sore still, but
See, your cock and balls went black, so you were effectively a one-man interracial setup.
Yes.
You were white and black, all in the same body.
I sent you a picture.
I sent you black. I was like, this is, he's fucking went to some tribe and got the black paint.
It was literally white.
You know that paint
black.
that they use in the rituals or the dancing?
Yeah.
That's fucking paint.
And now it's making its way down the inside of my thighs instead. It's coming off my balls.
Black. It didn't look like bruising black. It looked black.
Oh, it looked black.
It was like black blood.
Yeah.
You know, if you had like a blister.
Aye, it was like that. It was the darkest purple it could get right before it turns black.
Dark purple is a good explanation.
It's like a midnight sky, but on my balls. And that's what I says to the nurse this morning when I was in, because I had a bit of a bleed last night out my stomach wound. And again, just before we came on the podcast, I thought I was going to have to cancel it, but
I was there to give you
loads of solid advice.
Sympathy.
I'm like, fuck it, we'll just take baby wipes and a dressing in case I start bleeding all over myself. We'll patch it in.
Some extra dressings.
You got me a packet of fanny pads out of Lidl just to solidify the moment.
So on the way over, I mean, it's like bros have got to be there for each other. And I thought, well, you know, what do you get somebody that's bleeding from their hemmed up wound? And the natural instinct is that you go and get a sanitary towel.
Sanitary towel.
For you go and pop on. I got them XL because you're a big boy, so
this is it.
Good coverage.
Real men need an X in front of the letter.
This is raw masculine encouragement.
It's like, I'll take you to hospital, but you're going to get it all the way there.
You're going to get it tight. Like, even if the machines beep, you're going to get it tight.
Right up until it flatlines.
You are not going anywhere. Like, you're going to remain here.
That's it. You're going to listen and you're going to take this fucking abuse.
You're going to take the abuse all the way there. And we're going to hit you with adrenaline and get the defibrillator out if you think about leaving early. Like, you're going nowhere. And this isn't done.
It was so I'm back in tomorrow night to get my chest aspirated again. So I got it done on...
Tell people what a chest aspirated.
Well, that's just what I'm going to go into here. So on the Friday, I went and got my chest aspirated. So because I've had the glands removed, there's a void now. And I'm all strapped in. I've got a full compression vest and a bind around my stomach to keep the pressure on to stop the fluid building up in the void while it settles. So what they did was they got me in. When I got my dressings off, she's like, there's a bit of fluid there, so we'll get you in tomorrow and one of the surgeons will aspirate you. And I'm like, right, sound. So when he came and he's like, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this needle through your stitches and I'm going to draw the fluid out. And I'm like, right, sound. He's like, you shouldn't feel it. I'm like, shouldn't or won't? Because there's a variable here, and one of them I'm going to be fine with, and one of them I'm not going to be fine with. He's like, shouldn't. Well, they've cut through your nerves, so in theory, because it's not healed yet, the nerve should still be severed. I'm like, sound. Okay.
That still sounds like a should to me.
Yeah, it was still a should. And he's done it, and he's like, any pain? I'm like, I can't feel a thing. So he's just needle through my stitch in, just drew 30 mil out one side and 10 mil out the other side. And he's like, if it fills back up, let me know and we'll do it again on Tuesday. So I'm back in tomorrow. It's not went as bad, but it has filled up a wee bit. So go in tomorrow. And because I've had that bleeding on my stomach, they're going to have a feel. And if they can aspirate any fluid out the stomach, they'll do that as well. And
is it just the bleeding that's concerning you? Take it there's no discomfort or anything?
No, I have had no pain, lad. Right. None. This is honestly, like, I thought when the anaesthetic wore off, the general, I thought I was going to be in a load of pain. And they've been like, there's some paracetamol, so just take that. And I'm like, really? And you're lucky if I've took half a pack. Yeah. And it was just as a precaution initially. And then I'm like, I am in no pain. Like, nothing is sore. It's been a doddle. I'm like the bruising below my waist has been worse than anything the surgeon's done to me.